to ESPN's College Football Prime Time, presented by Russell Athletic. Tonight it's the ACC on ESPN, and what a great way to wrap up this opening weekend of the college football season with a matchup between the two winningest teams in the ACC over the last 4 years. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets invade the Lane Stadium in Blacksburg to take on 16th ranked Virginia Tech. As we reported during College Football Live a few moments ago, there is the possibility of bad weather here in the near future, but at the moment, no rain, no lightning in sight, and we are going to proceed with the start of this big game on schedule. And we welcome you to Blacksburg. Sean McDonough along with Chris Spielman will be joined shortly by Quick Kesenick. Delighted to have you with us. It's the opener for both teams, but it's a big game. Both coaches used that word yesterday. They know that over the last 7 years, since the ACC went to divisional play, the winner of this game has won the ACC Coastal and gone on to the conference championship game. Virginia Tech, the favorite to win the division again this year. Georgia Tech, number 2 in the preseason poll. Virginia Tech the edge because of the presence of Logan Thomas.
Well, just watching Logan Thomas on film, I feel like I'm watching Cam Newton, 6'6", 260 pounds. I'm going to tell you this. I really believe he has the potential of being a 4,000-yard man, 3,000 through the air and 1,000 on the ground. Here's an advantage he has. Sean, he doesn't have to move around the pocket to find throwing lanes. At 6'6", he can see over defensive linemen have throwing lanes, and this is what he does well. He's a good option quarterback. And I'll tell you, when you tackle him, there's got to be a whole lot of 1-2 because he's bringing some pain when he runs the football.
Well, this crowd is certainly ready for the start of the season. Enter Sandman blaring, and the Hokies getting ready to take the field before a sellout crowd. Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets off an 8-5 campaign. Disappointing loss in overtime to Utah in the Sun Bowl. Georgia Tech started out 6-0 last year, but ended the season poorly. They'd like to start with a big win on the road tonight. And the Yellow Jackets, with Paul Johnson, their head coach, in his 5th season, run that spread option offense, and it's been remarkably effective. He has a great trigger man to run it.
Well, you talk about if you have to be Paul Johnson's quarterback, you better have trust. He has trust in Tevin Washington. Tevin Washington runs this offense perfectly. This is the play that hurt Virginia Tech's defense last year. It's the counter option. You get everybody going one way with a pulling guard coming from the backside. You want to run this against a very aggressive defense, and this offense did hurt the Hokie defense last year. Now you have the dive option. He's going to read inside. Fake to the fullback because the fullback is taken. Now he options one man. He has to make the decision whether to keep it or pitch it. Good decision there. Pitch, big game. Here's what we have to be aware of if you're Virginia Tech. The play action pass off the dive option. The one tell that Georgia Tech does have is on pass plays. All the offensive linemen hats or helmets are very high. So if you're a defensive back or a linebacker, you should never be sucked inside on the play action.
The teams are ready to go. Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. And the opening kickoff from Blacksburg right after this.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Madden NFL 13. A new look, a new feel, a new way to Madden forever. Rated everyone. Papa John's. Earn free pizza fast with Papa Rewards only at papajohns.com. And Avis. This is Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week.
Georgia Tech won the toss and deferred, so Paul Johnson is going to put his defense out on the field first. They're an undermanned unit tonight. With more on that, here's Quint Kesenick.
Georgia Tech has some serious defensive depth issues tonight. They left 3 would-be starters at home in Atlanta. 2 players are out with suspension, Lewis Young and Daniel Drummond. And meanwhile, Fred Holton, safety, has an arch injury, leading Al Groh, their defensive coordinator, to tell us yesterday he has confidence in 14 serviceable defenders, where that'll be most taxing on the defensive line, where you'll see a 4-man rotation, and they'll only play 4 linebackers. They got a break. It's not too hot tonight, but there is a lot of adrenaline in the air. The question is, can the depleted Yellow Jacket defense hold up for 4 quarters? Sean?
That will be a big factor tonight.
Well, especially, Sean, if Virginia Tech runs a high-tempo offense, and it's to be noted that that's something that they worked very hard on during train camp.
David Scully to kick off. 7 of his 43 kickoffs went for touchbacks last year. The kickoff moved up this year. It'll come down to J.C. Coleman, a true freshman who came out of the end zone, and a nice return. Frank Beamer's special teams have not been quite as good in recent years as they once were. They've spent a lot of time trying to restore the roar to the special teams. 34-yard return for the dynamic freshman Coleman. Here's Logan Thomas, the gigantic junior quarterback at 6'6", 260. As Chris says, the size and skill set invite comparisons to Cam Newton. Last year, the total offense record. Threw for over 3,000 yards. Don Strock, the only other quarterback at Virginia Tech to throw for more than 3,000 in a season. He comes out slinging and slinging it deep, and it is nearly intercepted. Well covered by Rod Sweeting. Running stride for stride with Marcus Davis, the terrific athlete at wide receiver.
Yeah, we have 2 dropped balls here. First of all, we got a drop ball by Sweeting, who's in pretty good position, looking lean, goes to the highest point, but he just misses the football. That's why he's playing defensive back. Then, of course, Marcus Davis, an excellent receiver, drops the football. Could be a case of nerves early on.
Lots of newcomers around Thomas, including the wide receiver core. They lost Jarrett Boykin and Danny Cole from a year ago. They're the top 2 receivers in school history. They think they have explosive playmakers out wide, and they throw it again to Davis. Catches this one and has a first down with a pickup of 12, ridden out by Isaiah Johnson, a safety. Let's take a look at impact players.
First of all, you have the big man in the middle right there. Marcus Davis and Bruce Taylor. Bruce Taylor coming off the injury. Michael Holmes, could he be the next big Virginia Tech tailback?
They're replacing David Wilson, the ACC Player of the Year at running back last year. Rushed for more than 1,700 yards. And Michael Holmes is the latest big thing at tailback for Virginia Tech. They've had some terrific players at that position in recent years. Thomas kept it after the fake out of the pistol, and he runs for 11. Shot down by Jabari Hunt Days, a linebacker in that 3-4 alignment for Georgia Tech.
I think this is going to be the staple of Virginia Tech's offense, the pistol formation, to put him involved in the running game. He's much more of a threat, obviously, to tuck it and go from the pistol formation as opposed to the I-backs. That's what I would run with him. Absolutely.
Shotgun. Al Groh said he expected to see a lot of shotgun tonight, perhaps as many as 80% of the snaps for Tech. Pass intended for DJ Coles and incomplete. There's Frank Beamer in his 26th season. He's back to his playing weight. He's a terrific defensive back here in the late 60s. Frank's lost 35 pounds since the end of last year. Thomas decided to keep it. And he is upended again by Jabari Hunt Days, this time for a loss of about a yard.
Now, the reason why Hunt Days was able to get there, Roberts, number 11 for Virginia Tech, was coming on a crackback block, but he lost his footing, allowing a man free to tackle big Logan Thomas.
3rd down and 11. Opening possession of the game, Virginia Tech at the Yellow Jackets 34. Georgia Tech has busted out some new uniforms this year. Line of scrimmage, the 44. 2 minutes into the ball game. Thomas dumps it off to the redshirt freshman Holmes. He's in trouble. Managed to pick up a couple. to the 42, but well shy of the first down. Jeremiah Atauchu made the tackle for Georgia Tech, and Frank Beamer is going to send the punting team on. And first collegiate punt for a true freshman walk-on punter, A.J. Hughes. He was an invited walk-on. They knew he was coming to Virginia Tech to punt. Left footer. Won a battle with a fellow freshman, Connor Windmuller, in the preseason. Very nicely done on his first kick. Fair catch made by Jamia Thomas at the 10-yard line. 32-yard punt. So here come the Yellow Jackets. Over the last 4 years under Paul Johnson, they've been the best rushing team in the country. The only team to average more than 300 yards rushing per game over the last 4 years. And their quarterback is Tevin Washington, now a graduate student at Georgia Tech. They start with a dive straight ahead. And a 2-yard gain for Charles Perkins. He's the B-back, what most people would think of as the fullback, who lines up right behind that quarterback.
It's interesting that they ran that play to the reduced side, which means the defensive tackles down, lined up over the guard. Bud Foster was expecting to run it to the open side where the defensive tackle is lined up over the offensive tackle.
Gain of 2, 2nd and 8. The two A-backs line up behind and just outside the tackles. Washington, that's a forward pass, and it's incomplete, intended for one of the A-backs, Robert Godhigh, a walk-on. It'll be 3rd down and 8. That was a play that looked a little shaky from the start.
Well, I think he was shaky because he had a receiver open sitting at the sticks at the first down marker. And I don't know, frankly, Sean, if he had the confidence to make that throw. And he talked about to us on the phone how he's worked on his throwing motion all offseason. Right there, it did not show.
3rd down and 8, deafening noise. They hand it off to Perkins, the B-back, and he gets 2 more. But it'll be 4th down and 6. They'll have to punt. Luther Maddie clogged the middle and made the tackle. Part of a deep defensive line for Virginia Tech. They'll roll 8 talented players in there at the 4 spots.
Bud Foster, it's clear his game plan is any 3rd and long, pressure is coming from 7 or 8 men from the Hokie defenders.
Sean Poole, junior punter, averaged just under 40 per kick last year. Fair catch made by Dyrell Roberts at the Hokie 45-yard line. 44-yard punt. No score. Each team has had it once in Blacksburg.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Virginia Tech lost its leading running back, the player of the year in the ACC, ergo David Wilson. Their top 2 receivers. They have 4 new starters on the offensive line. So Brian Steinspring, the offensive coordinator, talking about his quarterback, says he doesn't have to be Superman, but he does need to be near a telephone booth. A lot thrown onto the shoulders of the 2nd-year starter, Logan Thomas. 2nd possession, he keeps it. And Georgia Tech, taste of its own medicine. You think the Yellow Jacket defense stops that play for a 3-yard gain would be familiar with defending this, because they do it in practice all the time.
Yeah, and they do. The only difference that right now is that it's from the pistol formation. And what Brian Steinspring's trying to do, and Virginia Tech has done for years, you see Coach O'Kane right there, the play caller right beside Brian, is they trying to do a lot of different formations, a lot of different looks. It's just window dressing because they run the same plays off of different formations.
Steinspring is the coordinator, but Mike O'Kane, the quarterback's coach, calls the plays. Gain of 4, 2nd and 6. And Thomas keeps it again. And has the first down, punishing run inside the Georgia Tech 45-yard line. Tackled by Brandon Watts, outside linebacker. 7-yard gain and a first down.
There's a reason why we said he could be a 1,000-yard rusher, because they're going to run him. And I was talking to you during the break. I think, Sean, he's more effective at 6'6", 260. He's not an outside guy. He's not Michael Vick, Virginia Tech. He's Logan Thomas hitting it up inside like a big giant tailback.
Thomas zings one. Diving catch made by Dyrell Roberts for an 8-yard gain. He's had an injury-filled last 2 years, a thigh injury. Cost him half the season 2 years ago and missed most of last year with a broken arm.
Right there you see a little bit Thomas, number 14, hesitant on his break. Usually defensive backs are hesitant when they break because they're concerned about the double move. And these receivers have double moves in them.
8-yard gain, 2nd and 2. Holmes stacked up for no gain by Quayshawn Neely, an inside linebacker. Returning starter. They're going to go quickly now. This is another new wrinkle Virginia Tech's going to incorporate this year, the up-tempo. Trying to catch him off guard on 3rd down and 2. Thomas straight ahead for the 1st down.
No surprise right there. You take a look at the graphic. Last year, 20 out of 21. Watching him on film again. Inside runner at 2 yards. He's 6'6". Fall forward 2 yards. And then some change.
Well, that's your play on 3rd down and 2 or less. Logan Thomas running somewhere. Rushed 5 times already for 25 yards. Put a fullback in the game, Joey Phillips, in front of Michael Holmes. Holmes in trouble again behind the line of scrimmage. And Thomas has been effective. Holmes hasn't found any running room, and he's smothered there for a 2-yard loss.
Penetration in the backfield disrupts his play by Atalchu, number 45. See him knock that pulling guard off. He forces Holmes to run what I like to call the hump. That means he cannot get downfield. He has to run horizontal, allowing the pursuit to come and make the play. Atalchu, tough.
Born in Nigeria, moved to the Washington, D.C. area when he was 8 years old. Outstanding player on this Yellow Jacket defense. 2nd and 11. Deflected pass and off the hands of Dyrell Roberts. Looked like it got tipped near the line of scrimmage. Tyjon Cross perhaps got a finger on it. 3-year starter in that front 3 for Coach Groh.
Recognition by a defensive lineman is key on the quick throwing game. Cross knew he was not going to get there, so he's coached and trained by Al Groh to get those big paws up. He did and was able to deflect the pass. And I don't think we'll see many passes blocked this year or tipped because of the frame of Logan Thomas.
A highly recruited basketball player in high school. Lynchburg, Virginia area, had many Division I basketball scholarship offers. Recruited here as a tight end and converted to quarterback. It seems to be a very good move as it's complete to Corey Fuller. Transfer from Kansas, where he was a track star, not a football player. His first catch is a Hokie, good for 12 yards and a 1st down.
Yeah, arguably the fastest guy on the team, so he's working on Sweeting. The corner does a good job of driving him upfield, making Sweeting come out of his break. And when the defensive back comes out of his break, his shoulders turn and he cannot break up and make a play on the ball.
9th play of the drive, no score. More than midway through the opening quarter now. Holmes lunges forward inside the 20 and down to the 17-yard line.
Quint addressed this in the open. The depth that Georgia Tech has on defense is limited. And so when you go up-tempo and you're successful, I'm right now looking at guys with hands on their hips, especially the big guys. They get tired. All 3 big guys have their hands on their hips. They just took one off. T.J. Barnes took his off. But that's something to keep your eye on as the night goes on. Is Georgia Tech going to be able to hang in there with conditioning?
Those 3 losses Quint talked about are all big. All 3 of them, Young, Drummond, and Holton, would have been starters. And now you see some holes opening up in that defense as Holmes rambles down to the 6-yard line. Isaiah Johnson saved the touchdown.
Here's what I'm talking about, fatigue. Look at T.J. Barnes, big number 40 in the middle, does a good job of controlling, but is not quick enough or doesn't have enough jump in him to get off the block to make a play.
They come quickly again to the line. A fade on 1st and goal after the 11-yard gain, and it's over the head of Dyrell Roberts with Jamea Thomas in coverage.
Logan Thomas is off just a tad.
He's going to get his rhythm here soon, but right now he's off, and Georgia Tech has to take advantage of his inaccuracy so far this game.
Really just under 60% of his passes last year. Spent some time in March during his spring breakout in San Diego, California, working with George Whitfield, the quarterback guru. Worked with Cam Newton and Ben Roethlisberger, among others. Worked particularly on balance and footwork, throwing balls while standing in the Pacific Ocean from time to time, trying to stay balanced as the waves crashed into him. As big as he is, the waves might have bounced back toward Hawaii. Timeout, 2nd and goal when we come back. Virginia Tech looking for the first score of this one. No score. 6:16 left in the first quarter. Sean McDonough with Chris Spielman and Quint Kessenich. Virginia Tech's run 17 plays from scrimmage, only 3 so far from Georgia Tech. And the Hokies looking at 2nd and goal at the 6-yard line going in. Logan Thomas will go from the gun. The fake to Holmes, and the throw, touchdown. Eric Martin, the tight end. Cody Journell on to kick the extra point. Impressive drive for the Hokies. And Eric Martin on the receiving end of the first touchdown pass this year from Logan Thomas. 2nd career touchdown catch, just the 4th reception of his career for Martin.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Russell Athletic, who remind you that together we are, and in part by your local Scion dealer.
These pictures reflecting the evolution of Main Street in downtown Blacksburg. Terrific college town here in southwestern Virginia, home to 50,000 people, about half of them students. The largest town by population in Virginia. What an impressive scoring drive by the Virginia Tech Hokies, engineered by Logan Thomas. Michael Branover kicks off, short and tumbling. Tony Zennon on the return for Georgia Tech. Bended at the 27 by Josh Trimble. Let's go back and look at the Virginia Tech touchdown.
Play pass defense down here this close to the end zone. You're playing matchup, zone, or man. The rule is when you play matchup, zone, or man, you have to take the man. You cannot get nosy with your eyes. Right there, Golden gets nosy with his eyes, allows Martin to sneak behind him, and Logan Thomas with a nice hook shot touch pass.
Quick 3 and out, the only time Georgia Tech had the ball tonight. Better field position, and a pitch back to Orwin Smith, but whistle stopped the play. Referees Brad Allen leading this ACC crew.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 64, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Ray Bino, the left tackle. It's a very good offensive line. 5 returning starters. They believe it's the best they've had in Paul Johnson's 5 years. 33-19, more wins than any Georgia Tech head coach in his first 4 seasons. And out straight ahead to Charles Perkins, 1 yard. And then he was stuffed by Derek Hopkins.
Derek Hopkins is a space eater and a plugger inside. If you cannot handle him or move him out of the way, there will be no running by any B-backs against that Hokie front.
A wide body at 6 feet, 306 pounds. But Bud Foster, the defensive coordinator, told us he can chase the ball down. He's not just a run stuffer in the middle. 2nd and 14. Washington wrapped up after a 2-yard gain. Antoine Hopkins, Corey Marshall in on the stop. Marshall, a defensive end.
Well, if you can't move Derek Hopkins, even with 2 guys, when a player takes away 2, that leaves 1 free. And a nice job right there by Corey Marshall of playing disciplined defenses, which you have to do because he was responsible for the quarterback, and he ate him for lunch.
3rd and 11. Washington throws, caught, and it is a first down. Look for a moment that Orwin Smith had retreated and given up the first down yardage, but he got back to the 38 plus for an 11-yard gain and a first down.
Good job of Tevin Washington allowing the receiver to clear, and Orwin Smith coming back to the football, understanding where he is on the field after contact, fighting for the extra yards to pick up the first and get a little momentum for Georgia Tech.
I think you try to get it to Orwin Smith as much as you can. He averaged 10 yards a carry last year and 23 yards a reception. The pitch to B.J. Bostic, and he's across midfield for the Yellow Jackets. Taken down at the 48 of Virginia Tech by Jaron Gavea-Winslow. 13 yards on the play for Boston.
Not only Orwin Smith, but watching block right here. He knocks in the contain. The contain is the most outside defender, making a short corner for B.J. Bostic. That was a mental error by the Hokie D's right there.
Quick toss to Orwin Smith, and he's upended by Kyle Fuller, the outstanding cornerback. And here's our outstanding studio host, Reese Davis.
Right back at you, big fellow. A live look in ESPN2 right now. You can also see it on Watch ESPN. U.S. Open, the Williams sisters playing doubles, and they're down 5-3 in the second set. Maria Kirilenko and Nadia Petrova trying to avoid elimination in the doubles.
Fun time of the year if you're a sports fan. College football season underway. A great way to cap this opening weekend. Not a great way to end the run for Orwin Smith. The late pitch, and he got taken down by Jack Tyler.
In the open, we highlighted the counter option because of the aggressiveness of the Virginia Tech defense. Jack Tyler, outstanding. Why? Because he did not go for the fake. He saw the pulling guard. He trusted his training and trusted his keys, ignored the B-back, and went with the pulling guard, which led him right to the football for a solo tackle.
2 successive losses after they had crossed midfield for the Yellow Jackets. 3rd and 15. This is not their game. The play action pass, and James Gale has the sack.
That's James Gale right here down at the bottom of the screen. Let's see what he beats him with. He comes off, and they try to cut block him, and you throw a no-hitter on a cut block. James Gale had 7 sacks last year. He's going to add to his sack total.
It was all ACC a year ago. Sean Poole got the punt off. Not a long one. They'll be down near the 30-yard line.
Sean, I want to make a quick point for you right here. Real quick. You know how that corner's coming up on that toss sweep? Look for Georgia Tech to throw that toss pass if they're going to come up that hard.
So far, the Hokie defense has had the upper hand in the battle against the Yellow Jacket offense. This Saturday afternoon, ESPN has a full slate of SEC games at noon. It's Auburn taking on Mississippi State at 3:30. Texas A&M welcome to the SEC as they take on 23rd ranked Florida. And finally at 7, Washington heading to the Bayou to take on the 3rd ranked LSU Tigers. A college football triple header Saturday on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN. 7-0 Virginia Tech. After a 24-yard punt, they have the ball at their own 30. Logan Thomas. 14 more on the run for the Virginia Tech quarterback, chased out by Isaiah Johnson.
And this is just what we see everywhere out of the pistol, the read zone. Logan Thomas wants to run the football. That's a great thing when you have a quarterback and a stud like that. The willingness to keep the football. I'm not sure J.C. Coleman did not want to run it right there. Looked like Logan wanted to give it to him, didn't it?
It looked like a missed handoff that worked out well for the Hokies. The true freshman Coleman in the game now as the running back. He did arrive early in January and took part in spring practice. Graduated high school early. Flag down. They faked it to Coleman again. And the catch made by DJ Coles. He's out of bounds right at the 50-yard line, but there is a flag down. If it stands, it's a 7-yard gain.
DJ Coles is down on the sidelines, coming off a very difficult injury last year with that knee.
Had PCL surgery in January and was only full go about a week ago. The legal procedure against Virginia Tech.
He's a consistent, viable receiver for Logan Thomas. And to lose him, not speculating on the difficulty of it or the severity of the injury, but to lose him hurts his offense.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Young man has worked so hard to come back from the knee injury. He's their leading returning receiver with 36 catches last year. They lost Jarrett Boykin and Danny Cole, who combined for 349 career catches. Both were in NFL camps. J.C. Coleman straight ahead to the 42-yard line. Knee-to-knee hit, it appears there, Chris, with Rod Sweeting. So perhaps it's just a momentary hurt.
I think you talk about it, you think about that injury when you come back and play. I mean, you get through practice, which is fine. You get through the scrimmage, but you still have first. And that first shot in the game, hopefully he didn't re-injure his knee.
2nd and 12. All day to throw for Logan Thomas. And then he threw it away. The general direction of Marcus Davis with Jamia Thomas in coverage.
A little bit of leadership right there by Logan Thomas, kind of getting on Marcus Davis. There was a miscommunication right there. They're having a little chat right now. Get on him, Logan. You're the quarterback. You're the leader. Run
We
the route.
talked to some of the NFL people here, and you mentioned 4 GMs, about 20 scouts. They like Marcus Davis' athleticism, but the knock on him with the NFL people is he's prone to taking plays off.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on that because that will not be tolerated in this booth this year, Sean.
No, it won't. Under a half minute to go, first quarter. 3rd and 12. The Yellow Jackets rush 5. They don't get there, and the pass incomplete, intended for the tight end Ryan Malik. Part of 3 or 4 tight end group you might see. He's the best combination passer and blocker, but couldn't catch that one with Brandon Watson coverage.
Well, this is a throw that he has to make, and he's a little off target right now as far as accuracy. He can stand in there and take the hit, but when you have that matchup, a little outcut, and you're not throwing all the way to the sideline, you're throwing in the middle field, you've got to make that throw.
Here's the freshman A.J. Hughes in his first college game. There's a flag down. Brandon Watts might have come across the line of scrimmage. Was Watts. Microphone not working for the referee, Brad Allen. That moves the ball to the 46. It's still 4th down and 8. A.J. Hughes wasn't fazed by kicking in his first game. National TV, sellout crowd. He said, I tend to do better when there's pressure on me. I live for the big moment. Sort of like Chris Spielman. Not a big moment for the Hokies there. And he's taken down back at the 22-yard line.
Where did jinx him?
Yeah, the announcer Jake's out. late in the first quarter.
We were talking at lunch today. How's A.J. Hughes going to react in front of this crowd? And right here, it's the simple things. This was his first big boomer, and he takes his eye off the ball. It's just like being a receiver or anything else. The first thing you must do is secure the catch. Now, can Georgia Tech capitalize?
Frank Beamer was concerned. He said we have a lot of new people on special teams. It's another reason they spent extra time practicing on them. Georgia Tech needed a spark. Perhaps this is it. 22-yard loss. And straight ahead goes the B-back, Zach Lasky, on what will be the end of the first quarter. Last play of it, an 8-yard gain. Lasky had a great camp and would have been the starting B-back tonight, but he came down with strep throat about a week ago. Hokies dominated the first quarter, but at the end of one, they're on top by only 7-0. We welcome you back to ESPN's College Football Prime Time, presented by Russell Athletic. Lane Stadium, Blacksburg, Virginia, end of one quarter. Virginia Tech leading 7-0. But a mishandled snap on a punt has given Georgia Tech great field position. First play of the second quarter, 2nd and 2, Jackets. Zach Lasky again straight ahead. And a first down. He's a converted defensive player. Came over in the spring and really dazzled Paul Johnson of the coaching staff with an outstanding camp.
A good hard inside runner. One of the adjustments Georgia Tech has made, if you take a look at their splits, they're a lot wider because you get wide splits to open up the middle so they can get the B-back involved in the offense, which he was completely shut out in the first quarter. That's how you spread those big defensive linemen out. Widen them splits, a la Mike Leach at Washington State via Texas Tech.
Long time to get the play in. Paul Johnson calls the plays. Toss. Robert Godhigh still on his feet and in the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia Tech.
Hughes, the punter, caused a turnover. Clear your head, young man. That play's gone forever.
They had only 3 plays after the mishandled snap on the punt. And the extra point up and good by David Scully. Joe St. Germain, the snapper, a little bit high, but one you would expect the punter to handle. But it's a true freshman punter, a walk-on in his very first game. And Godhigh made them pay. We welcome you back to ESPN's College Football Prime Time from Blacksburg, Virginia. It's brought to you by Russell Athletic. Part of Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week. Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech tied at 7. The Yellow Jackets take advantage quickly of another problem on special teams. Think back to the last game Virginia Tech played in the All-State Sugar Bowl against Michigan. Several special teams miscues really hurt them in that one. A roughing the kicker, a fumbled kickoff return, failed fake punt. Excellent kickoff by David Scully. No chance for Dimitri Knowles to run it out. They'll come out to the 25. Let's look at the Yellow Jacket score.
Nobody cut blocks better in the country than Georgia Tech. Your first cut block's going to come here. Orwin Smith's going to come out here. Watch him get him on the ground. And what happens is Virginia Tech has 1 strike. 1 strike there, 2 strikes there. There's your 3rd strike. They're out. Principles of tackling, Sean. Run through your target, not to your target. Keep your head up. They did none of them, and they paid the price.
Logan Thomas will go out of the shotgun. A pistol look there, and he's under duress. Can they wrestle the big guy to the ground? Yes, they can. And it'll be a loss of a yard on the play. Defense led by Jeremiah Tauchu.
Tauchu had a hard time bringing him down last year, which led to a flagrant personal foul, and he almost got one here again. He's getting a little violent, but he never quits on the play. Look at him, watching. He's trying to get him down, get him down. It's a big man. Yeah, he's going to be careful now. He knows he's being watched. Good player.
Officially a sack for a 1-yard loss. I formation now with Michael Holmes, the tailback behind Joey Phillips. The pass caught. Nice catch. Arms extended over his head. Marcus Davis. Jamal Golden made the tackle. 15 yards and a Hokie first down.
Well, this is the smarts of Logan Thomas. He sees the safety come up in the box. He checks to this play. They had a running play on. He saw the safety come up, and they checked to a 3-step quick slant drop to Marcus Davis, who goes up and does a good job of catching the ball with his hands. Recognition to change the play to a play that will work.
Talk about his athleticism. Davis, 4.37 in the 40. School record 44-inch vertical at 6'4", 232. Michael Holmes to the 45-yard line. Virginia Tech won this matchup last year in Atlanta 37-26 in mid-November. A big play in the game was a personal foul against Jeremiah Tauchu. He basically threw a punch at Logan Thomas on a 3rd down play late in the 3rd quarter. They had Virginia Tech stopped, obviously, and then he threw the right hand, kept the Hokies drive alive. They went on to score, took the lead on that play, and went on to win by 11. Part of a fade down the stretch. Virginia Tech started 6-0 last year for the first time since 1966, but won only 2 of their last 7. Running room there for the redshirt freshman Holmes. He's across midfield to the Yellow Jacket 48 in the first down. 7-yard gain.
One of the mysteries of college football to me is Virginia Tech tailbacks. I mean, they just keep coming from Virginia. And Michael Holmes wasn't a highly recruited guy, but when he gets his opportunity, the one thing he's known for is running one cut and downhill and running with passion.
Well, the last 2 years, the Hokies have lost Ryan Williams, Darren Evans, and now last year David Wilson to the NFL, and they just keep plugging in another talented guy. Ryan Steinsbrink said Holmes reminds him of Evans. Logan Thomas said he reminds me of Ryan Williams. Shakes a tackle, gets down to the 44-yard line. Isaiah Johnson got enough of him to get him down. Logan Thomas says Holmes reminds him of Ryan Williams because of his one cut and go running style, but no career carries for the top 3 tailbacks on the Virginia Tech Hokies depth chart entering the game tonight. Of course, Georgia Tech didn't have a reception from their top 4 wide receivers on their depth chart. So inexperience on both offenses. Good fake by Logan Thomas. And a good tackle in the flat. Ryan Malik ripped down by Jabari Hunt-Days.
Nice job by Jabari doing his responsibility. I love it. Al Groh talked to us about you can't just play zone against this type of offense. You play matchup zone. Anytime somebody crosses your face, you jump them. You don't worry about playing in the zone. You see somebody in your area, don't cover the zone, cover the man. Doesn't make sense to cover Dirt. Dirt's never completed a pass or caught a pass. Players do.
One of the great defensive coaches and defensive minds of his era, Al Groh. Off that Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick coaching trees, had a long association with Nick Saban as well. Thomas was about to get wrestled down, tossed it to Holmes, who picked up yardage, but is about 3 yards short of the first down. It'll be 4th and 3 at the 41-yard line of Georgia Tech.
You talked about Al Groh. Well, he dialed one up right into the play right here. Isaiah Johnson coming up, but the strength and power of Logan Thomas to keep that play alive. Dangerous. They got away with it. But Al kind of knew that was coming. Called the safety blitz off the corner right into the option play. He is a good football coach.
And
very good.
Better human being. A.J. Hughes after the miscue on the last punt. Better snap. No rush. And a good kick. High and with Beckspin using the old Balata ball. Matt Roth downed it at the 7-yard line.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy, and the 90-inch class Sharp Aquos LED TV. Experience it. It's not for the faint of heart.
(7-7) our score. Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. 9:36 to go till halftime. Sean McDonough, Chris Spielman, Clint Kesnick, our producer Bo Garrett, our director Mike Schwab. Last year, Georgia Tech, a school record 5.7 yards per carry. Tonight, just 3.6, but you get the sense they're starting to find the rhythm a little bit.
Well, I think nobody adjusts better in the country to the running game than Paul Johnson. And with the adjustment that we saw, they started running a lot of toss sweeps. That started to work, and they spread their offensive line, got wider splits. What that do is brought the B-back back into the offense, or the fullback.
Officials conferring whatever the issue was, it seems to be resolved. Georgia Tech averaged 316 yards per game rushing last year, number 2 in the nation. Only Army rushed for more.
Like the scoreboard, 2 timeouts remaining for Virginia Tech. Thank you.
Well, these officials on top of everything. The stadium scoreboard had 2 timeouts, had 3 timeouts left for Virginia Tech. In fact, they have 2 as our bug there on the bottom of the screen would indicate. Zagalaski, very little, less than a yard. Jaron Gouveia Winslow, the son of the former Washington Redskin Kurt Gouveia, made the tackle. There's Bud Foster. His 26th season on the staff. He came with Frank Beamer from Murray State. He's been the coordinator since 1995 and one of the best in the country.
Preparing for this offense, he went back to Georgia Southern days when Paul Johnson was the head coach there.
Tevin Washington taken down for a loss. Luther Maddie. When we spoke with Bud Foster yesterday, he said, our guys can't block Maddie in practice. I hope it's because he's really good, not because our offensive linemen aren't that good. I think Luther's really good.
Well, he's a big boy that can move and go down the line of scrimmage. Right there, he's on an inside dart. And the thing that he does well is he's playing with his eyes. He sees an offensive lineman cross his face. He is coached to get on his tail and trail. Tail and trail. I tell you, it's a great technique.
Tevin Washington back in the end zone, got belted as he throws a deep ball, incomplete. Boy, did he take a shot back in the end zone from Jaron Gouveia Winslow.
Well, he's coached to do this on the rollout. He can vacate his zone, and he's coming what they call second contain. He vacates his zone and is able to force the throw by Tevin Washington. And I like the guts of Tevin Washington delivering that ball, understanding that he's going to get one right in the chops.
Sean Poole to punt. Out of his end zone. The Yellow Jackets had their own problems on special teams last year. Paul Johnson hired a full-time special teams coach. He's never had a coach exclusively designed to coach just the special team. They went to it this year. Dave Rolkowski made his debut on the staff, the only new coach on Paul Johnson's staff this year. 37-yard punt in good field position for Virginia Tech when we come back. Here's a look at one of the headlines on the front page of the Roanoke Times this morning here in southwestern Virginia. Season on the line for Virginia Tech tonight. They're well aware that in recent years the Hokies have not gotten off to good starts. They did demolish Appalachian State in their opener last year. But recall a couple of years ago, lost to Boise State, compounded it with a loss to James Madison. They've played some tough foes, Alabama, LSU, way back when, USC. Frank Beamer says this is a big game, particularly because it's an ACC game against the team they've battled for the Coastal Division title the last 7 years. Logan Thomas with good field position, on target, first down to the 31-yard line to Corey Fuller, 13 yards, as the Hokies try to break this 7-all tie midway through the second quarter.
They're going tempo right here, but you see the advantage he has. He does not have to move to find a throwing lane. At 6'6", he can see receivers and routes open down the field, settled into a rhythm, planted his foot, and made a great throw.
He's 9 out of 15 passing. He hands it off to Michael Holmes. And that's a loss back to the 35. Here's Quint Kessner.
It appears that DJ Coles, wide receiver, is done for the day for Virginia Tech. Injured his right knee earlier today. Remember, he's coming off that offseason knee surgery in January. Didn't wear a brace today. Told us it was sore during practice this week. He has taken off his shoulder pads. He's done.
Well, what a disappointment for him and for the Hokies. Thomas flings it forward, juggled and caught. No, dropped finally by Holmes, and it's a good thing for him. That would have been a big loss.
No, just to go back to that, I have no idea what that headline's about. And this team wins 10 games a year. And they're in the ACC hunt every year. This game, the season is not on the line. And I like the fact that Frank Beamer, he doesn't shy away from it. They have an empty trophy case inside their facility for the, hopefully in their case, the eventual national championship trophy.
Well, that's the only thing left on his resume to do. The winningest active coach in the country. They're the only team that's won 10 or more games each of the last 8 seasons. They've done it 11 out of the last 13. They've played for a national championship, but they haven't won it. Thomas on 3rd and 13. Is that caught? No. Incomplete. Caught on the bounce by the defender, Jamea Thomas. And a decision now for Coach Beamer. It would be a very long field goal try.
He's pounding his chest because he misses. And he's off tonight. His passing's off. And right there, I don't know who he's throwing to. Is he throwing to Fuller or the deeper receiver? He had Fuller open, and I think he got caught in no man's land.
Here's A.J. Hughes. He mishandled one snap that led to a Georgia Tech score, but on the other 2 punts that he got off, he's had the ball down at the 10-yard line and the 9-yard line. He's done a good job in this situation. And pretty good kick again, but it took a bounce and went into the end zone out of the grasp of Alonzo Tweedy. 6:52 to go in the half. The Techs tied at 7. Monday Night Football returns 1 week from tonight with a primetime doubleheader. First, Susie Colbert and the gang kick off the coverage with Monday Night Countdown at 5 Eastern. Then at 7, Andy Dalton, the Bengals take on Joe Flacco and the Ravens. And finally at 10:15 Eastern, the San Diego Chargers in Oakland to battle the Raiders. Monday Night Football doubleheader next Monday on ESPN. Wow, speaking of the NFL, one of the great players in the history of the NFL, and the Virginia Tech football, Bruce Smith on the sideline. His son Alston is a true freshman defensive lineman here at Virginia Tech. Zach Lasky chopped down by Jack Tyler. Of course, Bruce Smith, an old teammate of yours.
You know, guys, there were 2 fellows I played with that every time I watched film made me say, wow. One of them was Bruce Smith, the other one Barry Sanders. Probably the strongest pass rusher I've ever watched. Just an amazing football player. It was my privilege to play with a great player like he made me better.
Lasky again, taken down by Luther Maddie. You told me on the field before the game tonight when he watched film, he said, where is Spielman? He kept looking in the film, trying to see where Chris Spielman went.
I was already back at the huddle after making the tackle.
Good to be back with you, Carter, after a 3-year hiatus.
Yeah.
Under 6 minutes to go in the half. Very little sustained offense for Georgia Tech. Their score came on a short field after a mishandled punt snap. Lasky gets a big first down, 3rd and 4. He wrestled 6 yards out of that one before Luther Maddie got him on the grass.
The folks watching need to know that this offense will go 3 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 1 yard, then they'll pop one for 60 or 70. Just be aware. They do it every game.
The time of possession is important. 4 meetings between these two since Paul Johnson's been the coach. The team that won the time of possession battle won the game. Missed handoff. Tevin Washington had a fall on it for a 2-yard loss. There is a flag down at the line of scrimmage on the near side of the field.
They'll catch a break right here. Offsides against the Hokie defense. Aligned offsides.
Defense, number 99, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. First down.
As you can see, a light rain is falling here in Blacksburg, but fortunately, that storm that was to the south of us and heading in this direction broke up a little bit. There is the anticipation of continued rain, but we think we're out of the woods now in terms of thunder and lightning, which is great news. 1st and 5. Tevin Washington has a man down the middle, caught into Hokie territory. Corwin Smith to the 43-yard line. First down, Yellow Jackets, a 20-yard gain. They had 82 plays last year of 20 yards or more.
It's a nice attack the middle of the field if you're Georgia Tech, because those safeties are getting awful nosy. Corwin Smith, their most reliable player. Get him in the ball, he'll make a play. Nice job by Tevin Washington.
Washington kept it. Lunged forward for 3. Wrapped up by Derek Hopkins. He is the brother of Antoine Hopkins. Antoine's known as Hop, and Derek's known as Skip, the Hop and Skip.
Look at the splits here, Sean. That's the adjustment that Paul Johnson made, because ever since they made that adjustment, the B-back is now a factor. In the beginning of the first series, 0 factor.
There's the B-back. Rolling forward for 2, perhaps 3 more. Derek Hopkins in there again. Paul Johnson says in his time, Georgia Southern, Navy, and now Georgia Tech, and he's been very successful in all 3 stops. He's seen just about every kind of defense trying to defend this. And no matter what he sees, he believes he has adjustments he can go to that will be effective.
Cut him down just a little bit here. Splits.
3rd down and 4. Got high, got walloped and lost the ball out of bounds, short of the first down. J.R. Collins and Kaishan Jarrett combined on the play.
Same play they scored the touchdown on. But the difference is they do not get chopped down right there. Collins fights off the block, and you get good safety support from Kaishan Jarrett, and no missed tackles, which is also a plus.
And the fumble was big because it would have been 4th and about a yard. Instead, they're back on the 38. Paul Johnson going for it. 4th down and 5.
Hard count.
Perhaps just trying to draw him off. And it didn't work. Flag down for delay of game.
Delay of game. Offense number 13. 5-yard penalty.
You're right, Sean. I think if that fumble wouldn't have happened, I think he was thinking in his mind when it was 3rd and 4, I got 2 downs to get 4 yards. And that's something he believes he can do all day.
He's not afraid to go for it on 4th down.
Right. Saying on 3rd, he would have got the 3rd down. Before that play was called, he had 3rd down. He was thinking in his mind ahead that he had 2 downs to get 4 yards.
So there's Sean Poole for the 4th time. Line drive kick. Needs a soft bounce. Touchback. It was close. The back judge had perfect position there. Ron Boyd. Logan Thomas, 9 out of 17 passing for 72 yards. He's had some chances. You said all night, Chris, just a little bit off.
Well, I think this, Sean. I think no matter, we talked about simulation in practice. He lost 2 NFL caliber receivers. He developed a timing and rapport with them. Right now, that's missing with his new group of receivers.
Martin Scales is the new running back, converted fullback. Quick pass to Marcus Davis, taken down immediately. In all 3 years, well, the first 2 years, this is the third for this defense under Al Groh. They've improved each year. Statistically, dropped off a little bit at the end of last year with an undermanned group trying to get away with playing only about 14 players tonight. They've had a very good half. Thomas deep, flag down, incomplete pass. Might have just been a towel that came off in the secondary. No flag down. Officials conferring to make sure it was not caught in bounds by Marcus Davis. Double coverage from Jamea Thomas and Isaiah Johnson.
Nice job by Thomas of keeping position. You see the foot, left heel come down outside. Isaiah Johnson coming over to help. And Al was talking about, conceptually everybody understands it, but he was talking about it takes 3 years to get the techniques down that he's trying to coach. And I'll tell you, they've got it. They played an excellent first half.
One of the problems is by the time they get it, it's a revolving door with players leaving after 4 years. They're getting it tonight. Jamea Thomas made a very nice play on Dyrell Roberts to force a Virginia Tech punt.
Yeah, you have to have an audible after that. When you have Thomas up there in press coverage, you cannot run the bubble screen. That's something that they have to have an audible, and I think they'll develop that as this pistol offense or spread offense develops for Coach Steinspring. But that's something you got to go off of right there, because that can easily turn into a big six with that press coverage off the bubble screen.
Paul Johnson was alertly called a timeout to stop the clock at 2:03 to go. We're back at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, Virginia. Another sellout here, the 88th in a row, dating back to the end of the 1998 season. Opening game for each team in an ACC battle. 7-7 the score. Been a good start to the year for the ACC. Their teams were 7-0 Saturday in non-conference competition.
3 teams in the top 25, I believe.
There's A.J. Hughes to punt. He's done well on the short field. And no flag. The referee indicating there is no flag for what appeared to be contact on the kicker. And good coverage at the other end as Jamea Thomas was taken down immediately by Alonzo Tweedy. Crowd booing. They wanted a flag thrown as Hughes hit the deck.
Well, his own guy got him. That's why they did not call it. Roth, Matt Roth.
Frank wearing a perplexed expression. Good punt, 48 yards, just a 1-yard return. Under 2 minutes to go. 2 timeouts. David Sims is the B-back. Orland Smith open over the middle. Gain out to the 46. Let's get a quick update from Reese Davis.
All right, Sean, coming up at halftime, we'll give you the latest on Tyrann Mathieu's plan. Florida has picked a quarterback for his trip to Texas A&M, and Michigan gets a guy back and loses another, plus an update on a Florida State player coming up.
Reese, thank you. After a 15-yard gain, Tevin Washington going deep, and it's just over the arms of Jeremy Moore. Junior wide receiver still looking for his first career catch.
And Jerry Moore slowed down a little bit right here. If he would keep running full speed, instead he tries to see him slow down and change gears to get the little push off. If he would have just kept running and trust the throw, and I don't think he trusted the throw. You don't need to slow down. Run the route. Use your speed. Trust your speed.
They lost their leading wide receiver, Stephen Hill. Drafted by the New York Jets after he averaged 29 yards per catch. But there's some big, good-looking athletes at wideout, including Moore, 6'3". On 2nd and 10, Washington forced to pitch it out to Godhigh, and he's taken down immediately by Antone Exum, who's moved to cornerback this year, a former safety.
I don't know if any of the A-backs can throw the ball. And I only say that because when you're getting support from your corners, from Exum and Fuller, like they're supporting, they're coming up hard. And if you have something and put that wide receiver on a safety trying to come over, you have a play deep if they have it in their arsenal.
2 out of 6 on 3rd down. Not an offense built for 3rd down and 9. Straight back Washington. Just did get it off. Orwin Smith shot down across midfield, but he's short of the markers. Taken down by Kaishan Jarrett. It'll be 4th down and a long 4, nearly 5. And a timeout called by the Hokies, hoping to get it back. We'll see if Paul Johnson elects to punt it away when we come back to Blacksburg. Thursday night on ESPN, it's a pair of the favorites in the Big East Conference squaring off in the conference opener, the Pitt Panthers and the Cincinnati Bearcats. ESPN's college football primetime served by Applebee's, Thursday, 8 Eastern on ESPN. College football lives here, and it is alive and well. It's also available on Watch ESPN.
The Penguins put it on the Panthers. That wouldn't happen in a while very much.
Youngstown State beating Pittsburgh, and Paul Chryst opener as Panther head coach. Paul Johnson elected to punt, and it's a dandy. He's down by Deion Hill inside the 2-yard line. 47-yard punt by Sean Poole.
It's a well-coached punt team right there. Fair catch, hand goes up. You run around the fair catch and put a wall in that goal line. Looks like the special teams hire by Paul Johnson paying off.
He said he's never had a special teams coach who coached exclusively special teams. Most college football programs have the position coaches divide up the special teams responsibilities, but he went and got David Welkowski, longtime college coach out of the CFL. He was with the Calgary Stampeders last year. Logan Thomas lunges ahead. Georgia Tech does have 2 timeouts left. It'll be difficult to get the ball back. Paul Johnson has not called timeout after 1st down.
I like the call by Al Groh right there. You know what he did? He just did an all-out blitz. He tried to get something, create a turnover, mess up the snap count, or sneak somebody through one of those gaps and get a tackle in the end zone. But a good call by Steinspring to run the big 6'6", 260 quarterback sneak to get some room.
Al Groh, long time in the NFL, defensive coordinator and head coach for a year with the Jets before he left and returned to college football as head coach at his alma mater, Virginia. He said we have some wrinkles that they haven't seen from us before, and this defense has given Virginia Tech a lot of trouble. Wouldn't you use a timeout now? Yeah, they will.
Ross's helmet has come off, so he has to leave the ball game. And I wanted to address that. I think that's all on the player. I think players wear their helmets way too loose. His helmet popped off right there, and he's there's not a lot of depth there, and he's been playing very well tonight.
Well, I know you. If you could go back out and play, I know you want to. You prefer not to play with helmets or any equipment. Just get out there and smash into each other.
Just see ball, get ball. Yeah, you protect your head if you take helmets off. That's for sure.
Logan Thomas, a lot of build up into this season, and you can see the skill sets just a little bit off, and part of that is the defensive performance by this undermanned group.
Yeah, I think people are a little bit surprised. I'm a little bit surprised he's not throwing the ball better than he is. And a couple things. He started slow last year, then he got it going. The other thing, I really think when you lose 2 starting wide receivers that are NFL caliber, in Bolkin and Coles, that the timing with his new receivers just isn't there because they haven't had game speed. And that's what's troubling him right now, in my opinion.
Very impressive young man. Coaches commending him for his leadership skills. 2.5 years with a degree in human development. 3rd down at 8. Let's see how the Hokies play it. I would think he might run this out of the end zone. No, he's going to throw it. And very well for the 1st down. Well, they won't have to punt. Well, they're going to try to snap it again now and go on the attack from their own 19-yard line after a 16-yard completion and a 3rd down conversion. Georgia Tech better not go to sleep here. Low throw in the direction of Marcus Davis.
I want to disagree with that. There's no way. You don't throw it with 18 seconds to go, 9 seconds this far backed up.
Yeah.
You take a knee, you go in, you regroup. I mean, you're just gambling right now. Take the knee, get out of here, and go regroup.
The likelihood with this field position is greater for something bad to happen than you're going to throw an 81-yard touchdown pass here.
The risk far outweighs the reward, my friend.
Let's see what they do now with 9 seconds and a timeout. Defensive battle, just 138 yards for Virginia Tech, 107 for Georgia Tech. A lot of conversation coming into the game too about the extra time for the Virginia Tech defense to get ready for this option offense that you don't see very often. It's harder to prepare for when the Yellow Jackets pop up on your schedule in the middle of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And the players told us they worked on it about 2 weeks. Bud Foster's worked on it ever since he found out they're playing Georgia Tech in the opener.
Now they'll take a knee.
Logan Thomas takes a knee, and that's the end of the first half with the score of Virginia Tech 7, Georgia Tech 7.
Georgia Tech will get the football to start the second half. Let's go down to Quint Kesnick.
Coach, what was your reaction when A.J. Hughes, your punter, dropped the snap?
Well, the snap was a little bit off.
There's actually going to be a timeout here, Sean, with some time on the clock.
Well, it'll be the rare two-part interview with the coach heading to the locker room.
I don't understand the timeout either.
Yeah, it's very unlikely. You're hoping for what? A turnover, but they're going to take a knee again. So I guess you're hoping that they bobble the snap, you pick it up and run it in with 2 seconds to go.
Never mind, they have about 6 safeties back there to make sure they cover that. The old Joe Pisarcek rule.
I wonder if Paul Johnson signed off on that timeout. He seems annoyed.
I wonder if this is Al Grove who made that timeout call.
I doubt it. I think Al's a little. I think Al's definitely a lot smarter than that.
Maybe the players. That's something I would do. It's not over yet. Keep playing.
Crowd didn't like it. A little annoying, if nothing else. Well, let's go back for part 2.
Part 2, Coach. What is your reaction to that timeout call?
Well, I'm not quite sure. You know, they didn't have any more timeouts, so I don't know why they did it.
How do you best describe the way your quarterback Logan Thomas is playing?
I think he's played fairly well. He missed a couple of passes, ball slipped out of his hand there one time, but I think he's directed us. We've just missed some scoring opportunities. We have good field position and don't take advantage of it.
The difference in the game right now is the fumble by your freshman punter. What do you say to an athlete when something like that happens?
Well, he's come back and done well, and so he's a freshman. The snapper's new and he's new. So, they're talented, so they just need to use their talent.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you,
Sean.
Yep, Frank Beamer said it yesterday. You worry about mistakes in the first game, particularly on special teams. 7-7 the score at the half. Now Reese Davis, Mark May, and Lou Holtz with the halftime report.
This is Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week.
It's a new day and a new season as we welcome you back to ESPN's College Football Prime Time, presented by Russell Athletic. It's the ACC on ESPN. At the half, Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech tied at 7. Only 244 yards of offense combined. Virginia Tech had a decided edge in time of possession. They ran 17 more plays from scrimmage, and the winner of the time of possession battle has won each of the last 5 years in this rivalry. And we welcome you back to Blacksburg. Sean McDonough, Chris Spielman, rejoined in a moment by Quint Kesnick. Obviously, the offenses had some adjustments to make there at the half.
Well, I think Georgia Tech did a decent job by adjusting their splits, which allowed them to get their B-back or fullback involved in the game. I want to see what Bud Foster does for that. If I'm Georgia Tech's offense, Virginia Tech's safeties are up close. You got to attack the middle of the field. First or second and short, attack the middle of the field. You might pop one. Virginia Tech's offense, Sean, they got to get the big fella on track. He's not accurate. He's not been good enough, quite frankly, in this first half. And that's why the Virginia Tech offense is struggling.
The big fella being the quarterback, Logan Thomas.
Thank you.
For those who weren't with us in the first half. Michael Brandover kicks off for the Hokies, about 8 yards deep in the end zone with Corwin Smith. Took a knee. Here's Quint Kesnick.
I I asked Georgia Tech coach Paul Johnson about his big guys, how they're hanging in there in terms of fitness and stamina. He said, so far so good. We'll see how this develops. He did point out the better our offense does, our ability to sustain drives, the more rest they get. I asked him what the winning adjustment on offense would be. He said just execution and field position. He felt handcuffed early in the game by some poor field position. When he did get in positive territory, he finally felt comfortable to take some shots.
Their only score came on the short field after the mishandled punt snap by Virginia Tech. Tevin Washington's the quarterback. He gave it off to David Sims. He was their leading returning B-back from a year ago, but has been recovering from stress fracture surgery on a shin. He opened as the number 3 B-back tonight. He gets the first carry of this half for 4 yards out to the 29.
I wasn't sure he was going to play tonight.
Washington was their leading rusher last year, rushed for just under 1,000 yards. Tevin handed it off to Sims again. Remember, Tevin Washington, Chris, last year in for 987 yards. First time in the 4 years under Paul Johnson that Georgia Tech did not have a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah, I just think they used a variety of backs, and they were efficient yards from Tevin Washington. And also, Smith had 10-point yards per carry, as we noted. So they're still efficient in second in the country in rushing.
3rd down and 2. B.J. Bostic picks it up with a 7-yard gain to the 40, swung down by Jack Tyler, the junior linebacker from Oakton, Virginia.
Boy, it seems like to me, Sean, every time there's a go-to or crunch play, they're going tossing outside. And that's because I believe they trust their best A-back to get the lead block to spring him. That time, he did a nice job of sealing Orwin Smith, the support player, allowing Bostic to get outside and get the first.
Orwin Smith, the ball handler this time. He lowered his shoulder and picked up 5 more. Collided with Kaishan Jarrett.
Should be 0 yards. Kyle Fuller comes in there and he ducks his head. It's very difficult to make a tackle if you don't see. He leaves his feet, does not square him up. And Orwin Smith will make you miss and put you on a highlight film because he doesn't have great speed, but he does have a little bit of shake.
Rare missed tackle by Fuller. Paul Johnson thinks he's the best defensive player on the Hokie defense. Straight ahead, David Sims, a junior from St. Matthews, South Carolina. Corey Marshall made the tackle for the Hokies. It'll be 3rd down and a short 3.
Just keep grinding, don't they? Again, a little bit of a warning. You got to stay patient if you're Virginia Tech and stay disciplined because they'll go 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, 50 yards.
54% was second best in the country on 3rd down last year. Not as good tonight. They've had a lot of 3rd medium. And they don't get 3rd and less than 3. As Sims is denied. About 1.5 yards shy of the marker. So Paul Johnson has a decision. Looks like he is running out of patience.
Well, he believes so much in his offense, and you have to think that they're going to go back to that toss. Always be alert of the hard count. That's where they've had the most success. When they needed yards, they've gone to the toss.
4th and about 1.5. They need to get right to the 50-yard line. Will they snap it this time? Yes. Bostic in trouble and stopped well short of the 1st down. So in a defensive battle, Paul Johnson rolling the dice. And he lost.
It's a J.R. Collins. The defensive end does a good job of not getting chopped or cut block. Uses his hands, plays off the offensive tackle. Number 69, Tyler Kidney, makes a huge play, but that's a good sound play by using your hands, defending the cut block, not getting 1 for 1.
Surprised he went for it. A little late to say that now, but it's been a defensive battle, and they haven't had any sustained offense all night long. You have a lot of confidence in an offense that only had 107 yards in the first half.
But he came back to the toss. The problem was he ran the toss into the short side of the field, which has not been successful. Orwin Smith wasn't in there when you ran a toss, which he's your best blocker on a toss. And when they've been successful, they go into the wide side of the field.
A lot to question there. Michael Holmes carried on first down for the Hokies and got 4.
I think I hit them all, too.
You did, in record time. Swung out to Marcus Davis, who dropped it. Forward pass incomplete.
I like the idea. I mean, he's an explosive playmaker. Get the ball in his hands and let him do something. He had a little issue, again, just like we saw with a young punter. He took the eyes off the football before he secures the catch.
Mike O'Kane on the left, quarterback coach and play caller. Brian Steinspring on the right, offensive coordinator since 2002. Here they have on 3rd down and 6.
I like Marcus Robinson. I think you try to find him. He's on press coverage. Marcus Davis, excuse me, he's down here in press coverage.
And back to him after the drop. Here comes the blitz. Logan Thomas got it off, incomplete, intended for Dyrell Roberts. Excellent coverage by Rod Sweeting, who was honorable mention All-Atlantic Coast Conference last season.
Everything's good. It's well executed. He lets the linebacker clear. And frankly, that's a ball you have to catch. A little high, but you're an FBS receiver, make the catch.
We asked Logan Thomas about the receivers. We talked with him yesterday. They lost Jared Boykin and Danny Cole. He said, I don't think we'll be as consistent, but we have more explosive playmakers out wide. I think he longs for the consistency.
Yeah, somewhat prophetic, wasn't he?
Yeah, right now they're not helping him catch balls that Boykin and Cole probably would have. A.J. Hughes. Whoa, muff punt. And Jamea Thomas gets on it. The 10-yard line. So Paul Johnson got away with that failed gamble on 4th down.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Each team has had it once here in the second half. Still tied at 7. That's where we were at halftime. Paul Johnson got away with going for 4th and a yard and a half from his side of midfield, and the Hokies had to punt, but he did negatively affect field position for his team as they start from the 10 and get 5 on first down. David Sims carried it out. 3rd time tonight that the Yellow Jackets have started the 10 or worse after a punt by A.J. Hughes.
Yeah, and conversely, Coach Beamer was talking about going into halftime. The Hokies not being able to take advantage of solid field position.
Started inside Yellow Jacket territory, but the Georgia Tech defense held again. Washington, problems on the exchange. Sims was bobbling it, managed to hang on. J.R. Collins, Derek Hopkins, Jaron Javea Winslow, all right there for the Hokies.
That's a poor read by Tevin Washington right there. Difficult read. And I really think Sims doesn't think he's getting the ball. Anytime you have a defensive end crashing down on that dive, he's got to pull that ball out. That's a turnover waiting to happen. It's a bad read by Tevin Washington.
Third down and 6. Given time, pulls it down, going nowhere. Yard and a half before J.R. Collins took him down.
Two things attributed to this sack. This is the pass play that Orwin Smith caught 2 balls on. This time they ran it with God's high. He does not get home, but you'll see right here he has nothing downfield with the wide receivers. And what attributed the sack, when Tevin Washington got in trouble, his eyes dropped. He did not see any open receivers work to get open, and that's when J.R. Collins was able to fold back and make the play.
And neither one of them did much to get open. Jeff Green or Darren Waller. They come after the punter, and Sean Poole got it off. And a diving catch made by Dyrell Roberts. So again, good field position. The Hokies will start this time at the 48-yard line.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by new Dr. Pepper 10 bold calories, 23 flavors, and Samsung. The next big thing is here.
Playing football at Virginia Tech since 1892. They still have a spot reserved for a national championship trophy. Talked to Frank Beamer about it yesterday. I asked him, if you retired without a national championship, would you feel unfulfilled? He said, well, I'd be disappointed, but no. I think I'd rather be known as the guy who came to work, worked hard every day, competed, and did it the right way. And he has certainly done all of that. He's on his way to the College Football Hall of Fame someday, with or without that national championship trophy. Michael Holmes carries. Once again, this Georgia Tech defense rising to the occasion. 2-yard loss. Syjon Cross led the defensive surge.
I'll tell you, I'm very impressed with the stamina of the front three for the Yellow Jacket defense. But remember, 4 new starters. And right now, they're not working in sync and have not won the battle of the line of scrimmage, which was a concern for the Hokie offense coming in.
Andrew Miller, the center, the only returning starter, and look out! Logan Thomas buried by Brandon Watts. Al Groh was raving last night about Brandon Watts' speed, and boy, did he come flying through to get Logan Thomas.
Well, actually, it's a great call by Al Groh, running a zone blitz, anticipating the pass. They're running him outside. You have Painter jumping outside. The rule is, as an offensive tackle, 71 Painter jumped outside. You go from inside out, not outside in. The simple reason, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and Watts had a straight line into the start making play.
Loss of 9. Soft rush this time. No rush. Logan Thomas going deep and incomplete. Intended again for Marcus Davis. Rod Sweeting running in coverage. So a 3 and out, and this defense doing a nice job of turning the field position back toward Georgia Tech after the gamble and loss on 4th down negatively impacted them.
If we had to put just one general statement on this game, it's Virginia Tech not being able to capitalize on field position. That's the main statement of the game right now.
Second time in a row they got it very close to midfield. There's A.J. Hughes. He's been busier than he had hoped in his college debut. Perhaps getting a little leg weary. That wasn't his best. Rolls out of bounds, far sideline at the 26-yard line. Still tied at 7, more than midway through the 3rd quarter. Wonderful moment here at halftime. The Hokie radio broadcasters on their football network, Bill Roth, the play-by-play man, and Mike Burnap, honored as they begin their 25th year together, and they are as good as anybody in our business, enormously popular. What a tremendous ovation they got, and a nice gesture by the folks here at Virginia Tech. They're going to try to start an endowment in memory of Mike Burnap's wife Ellen and Bill Roth's sister Linda. Both of them passed away this summer from lung cancer within a month of each other. Here's what you were calling for, Chris, the trick play, and it's caught but out of bounds. B.J. Bostic, incomplete, intended for Jeff Green.
Well, we were waiting for that, and good job of discipline. That's how you have to play it. And I'm glad they ran it, though, from a Georgia Tech perspective, because you keep them honest. And we were waiting for that all night, and they finally ran to it. Well defended.
Well, there what we're seeing, all this extra time to prepare. They're going to win the vast percentage of the time. 2 of the very best defensive minds in the country. And it's been a defensive struggle throughout. Tevin Washington. Whoa, nice move, a little fake. Still came up well short of the first down. On 2nd and 10, he got 6. It'll be 3rd down and 4, under 7 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter.
I'll tell you, when you're the spread option slash triple option type quarterback, one thing you have to have is great patience. Tevin Washington exhibited that there, allowing the play to develop and the hole to open up. Then you show your second gear and burst through it.
Just 91 yards rushing for Georgia Tech tonight. 3rd and 3. Washington lunges and has the first down. And Chris, many people are pointing to this whole notion of extra time to prepare for the option offense. Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech, 0-4 in bowl games. Generally you have extra time to get ready. And Bud Foster had a lot of extra time to get ready for the season opening game. They are stuffing this spread option attack of Georgia Tech tonight. David Sims, quality first down gain of about 5. Here's Reese Davis.
This is an Olive Garden studio update. We're giving fans endless coverage of college football, and for Florida State, that coverage is not good news. Sources reporting that Florida State defensive end Brandon Jenkins done for the season with a left foot injury. Pass rusher extraordinaire had 8 sacks a season ago for Florida State. Brandon Jenkins expected to miss the rest of the season.
Huge blow to the Seminoles. On 2nd down and 5, David Sims gets near the first down yardage, about a yard short. It'll be 3rd down and 1, just shy of the 47-yard line.
It's a little bit different look from Bud Foster. They went to an odd front or an Al Grove front, a 3-4, so the chess match continues. And the reason to do that is because then you're kind of giving the B-back away, and he just falls forward for 2 yards, but he's worried about the quarterback keeping the ball and the pitch.
Washington got free from an ankle tackle and got the first down. Great effort. Just 6 feet, 205 pounds. Looked like they had him stopped short of the first down marker. He got free from the ankle tackle and lunged forward.
Well, you know what? Derek Hopkins does a good job. What's Georgia Tech like to do? Cut block. Derek Hopkins says, I'll cut the cutter. In other words, he was a little bit surprised that he got in there scot-free because the cutter missed him because he undercut the cutter. But you got to make the play. He took a good play, could have been a great play.
I'm going to measure. You know, this whole notion of cut blocking is a first down. Paul Johnson had an interesting comment about it when we visited last night. Some people in football don't like it. And Paul Johnson, Frank Beamer a few years ago was pretty public in his comments about it. Paul Johnson said at the ACC coaches meeting not long ago, okay, you guys tell me, how many of your players got hurt playing against us by a cut block?
That's a great point. And not
no
many.
names. No one's mentioning any names. Come on, where's the list? Who got hurt?
It's a great weapon to have as an offensive lineman.
Orrin Smith breaks a tackle and got popped down by Kyshawn Jarrett. He did get across midfield to the 46 of the Hokies.
Just to go back to your point, what coaches are more concerned with would be the chop block. A chop block is when a player is engaged high, then another player comes in and cuts him. The cut block is just one-on-one. You're getting low and you're trying to take the knees out of the defender. It's a very effective, clean way of playing football. It's what he teaches. And the reason why defense doesn't like it, because it slows them down.
That's an important distinction. Paul Johnson, we don't chop block. His first. 2nd down and 7 rather at the 49-yard line. They moved the ball back a little bit. And that play got 2 back to the 47. Jack Tyler made the tackle. 3.5 minutes to go. In this quarter, 17 rushes for Georgia Tech and just the 1 pass, and it was by the A-back B.J. Bostic.
You see Luther Matty being helped off the field, a stalwart inside. One of Paul Johnson's adjustments was they're going back to a quarterback follow. Instead of handing the B-back and running the option, he just pulls the ball and follows the B-back through the hole. It's basically an old-time isolation play where you get a lead blocker leading your quarterback.
3rd down and 5. Looks like they're looking at Orrin Smith's shoulder. That would be a big loss. Experienced senior A-back. Washington pitches. B.J. Bostic, first down. Down to the 35-yard line of Virginia Tech. Another tackle for the safety, sophomore Tyshawn Jarrett. Both safeties, he and Diedrich Bonners, are converted cornerbacks.
Let's take a look at the perfect example of the cut block. Outside right here, just getting in the way of Exum, who cannot come up in for support, and he's able to fall forward and get the first down.
They're 3 for 3 on this drive on third down. They've struggled to convert all night. Longer yardage situations. They've had it back to the more manageable third downs on this possession. Sims on first down gets to the 31, gain of 4. Another big reason why, Chris, it's more manageable on third down. They're doing better on first down.
Absolutely. Another adjustment is now they're pulling the backside guard to lead the fullback, and it's for me up here, and I can see these adjustments, and you're going to see what Bud Foster counters with. And Paul Johnson's countered with getting the inside run going with some type of lead blocker.
Should be easy to run in the middle with Luther Maddie still on the sideline. They go right up the middle for a first down. Paul Johnson and his staff well aware that Maddie's been terrific in the middle all night long. Is it in there right now? And Sims went busting through the middle of Bud Foster's defense for 8 yards.
Right here, you'll see, first of all, they changed the line of scrimmage. Uzi, who was on our impact players, does a good job of sealing Hopkins, the older Hopkins, creating that hole, sealing him off and cutting him away from making a play.
There's a Georgia Tech player a little shaken up on the play. When we spoke with Paul Johnson last night, he said the one player on offense we absolutely cannot afford to lose is the center, Jay Finch. He was the injured player. The good news is he's walking off on his own power, although gingerly favoring the left leg. He started every game at center last year, and Paul Johnson said, I don't know what we'll do if he comes out of the game. For the moment, Nick McCray is going to be his replacement, senior, 307-pounder.
We'll keep an eye on him this play and see if he's able to handle the pressure and the size of the Virginia Tech front. But he is a senior, so he has some experience.
Played in every game as a backup last year. Started and played pretty well in their big win against Clemson. They finished the season horribly, losing 5 out of 7. But in that stretch, one of the wins was against Clemson, the ACC champ.
You know, one thing you don't want to take for granted here is the quarterback center exchange. I know it's something routine, but he's fresh in. He might be a little nervous. Let's take a look.
Clean snap. And the play stopped immediately. Jaron Gavea-Winslow made the tackle on David Sims.
Well, it's a clean snap, but he falls forward and he blocks nobody. You'll see right there, he does a good job, but both guys swim, and Gavea-Winslow is able to come untouched in to make the hole.
Luther Maddie still not in the game in the middle of that defensive line for Virginia Tech, but they're deep and talented up front. Washington for 2. He lost his helmet, so he's going to have to come out for a play. Or is he going to get away with it? No, they're forcing him off the field. Referee Brad Allen, Bob was telling him to come off the field. Yeah, he's still telling him, sorry, you have to go. Washington trying to get away with it. Will not. That's a new rule this year. Lose the helmet, out for a play. So Paul Johnson wasn't aware of it.
St. John Day's coming in. Now you have a quarterback coming in with a new center taking the snap. I mean, these are little details that probably don't matter, but they matter to me. It's just something that coaches worry about.
3rd and 8. A little bit of a scramble because they hustle to get the play in. Days has worked also as an A-back. They think he's a physical talent. And he couldn't get free from the tackle of Jack Tyler in space. Nice tackle because it looked like he had running room to get to the first down marker had he gotten away from Jack Tyler.
Well, David Sims missed the key block. Pure and simple. He's one-on-one. David Sims dives at the ground. Tyler does a good job of not panicking, runs around the cut block, and makes a nice open field tackle in a crucial situation.
So here's David Scully, who was the backup field goal kicker last year, had only one attempt, and that was in the Sun Bowl against Utah. Desperation try at the end of regulation. He missed a 48-yarder, just missed it. We'll be trying a 34-yard field goal when we come back to the first play of the fourth quarter. Still tied at 7, where we were at the half. 7-7 as we go to the fourth quarter. Georgia Tech about to try a field goal, but the drive could have still been moving, Chris.
Yeah, 10 guys doing a job, 1 guy not. If Sims gets his block right here, it's a first down, and Georgia Tech still keeps the drive alive. Take a look. He dives at his ankles, throws a no-hitter. Excellent job of Jack Tyler avoiding the block and making the stop. A drive-killing missed block by Sims.
15 plays, 56 yards to set up a 34-yard field goal try. That would give Georgia Tech the lead. David Scully, former walk-on, now on scholarship, right down the middle. The junior from Dawsonville, Georgia, brings a smile to the face of Tevin Washington. The new special team coach, David Walkowski, has to like what he just saw from the new field goal kicker. He hit it dead center into that All-State net. It's celebrating its 8th year. All-State is sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. They make contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, All-State has contributed more than $2.6 million in scholarship monies.
Great job by All-State getting involved. Although those hands never catch it. The hands, it always bounces off its hands, but they have good hands. A little sense of urgency, Sean, looking forward from this Virginia Tech offense. Been stagnant, not very excited. Fourth quarter, ball game's on the line. You're down 3. What do you have, Logan Thomas?
Georgia Tech drive, 15 plays, all of them on the ground, and they had it for 7 minutes and 18 seconds. That is typical Georgia Tech offense. J.C. Coleman, Dimitri Knowles, 2 freshmen back for the kickoff from Scully. Al Johnson says he'd like his kicker to bang it into the end zone every time. That one comes down to the 3 for Dimitri Knowles. He was stopped at the 23 by Nick Menicall. We remind you that Saturday afternoon on ESPN, it's a full slate of SEC games. At noon, Auburn and Mississippi State. At 3:30, welcome to the SEC, Texas A&M, as they host 23rd ranked Florida. And at 7 Eastern, Washington and number 3 LSU. A triple header of college football Saturday on ESPN and also live on Watch ESPN. Logan Thomas out of the pistol. Way too high for Dyrell Roberts. He got knocked down by Rod Sweeting, and the flag thrown. Well, they had that horrible personal foul penalty that helped turn the game last year in Atlanta. Not sure about this call. Maybe they're going to pick it up after conferring. Nope, they're not.
Foul, unnecessary roughness, targeting the defenseless player. Defense number 6, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
He does not know where the ball is. He's shielded from the ball. I understand the safety and all that. I guess the ball was high enough, but it's a difficult call in a difficult situation.
Yeah, didn't hit him in the head.
I agree.
And Virginia Tech could use the help. Move them out to the 37-yard line. Thomas kept, and Tauchu made the tackle, and they're going to come up quickly. I mentioned Georgia Tech playing with underman defense. 3 guys who would have been starters aren't here. They're trying to get by with about 14 different players. And to this point, they've looked fresh. Obviously, you've had the whole off season to do all of your conditioning and strength work, and you hope that this is where it pays off right now.
A little bit lucky there, Sean. A substitution problem, and when the ball was snapped, they had no idea what defense they were in. They were benefited by the play call of Logan Thomas on a read option to run up the middle.
3rd down and 4. The true freshman J.C. Coleman is the running back to the right of Thomas. They rush 5. He throws a quick pop and a first down. Corey Fuller has had a nice night. Transfer from Kansas, where he ran track. He's the brother of Kyle Fuller, the defensive back, and the former Hokie Vincent Fuller.
Well, that's a good read by Logan Thomas. Why? Because he had Brandon Watts coming from that exact area where the ball was thrown. Vacated zone. He recognized it, and he was able to deliver a strike and not throw one high for the first time in a long time.
12-yard gain, 3 catches for Fuller. Another Fuller apparently on his way to Virginia Tech, with a brother in high school is one of the top players in the country. J.C. Coleman. 8-yard gain. And that penalty seems to have helped put some life into the step now of the Hokies offense. Play fake and a high throw over the head of the tight end, Eric Martin.
He's lucky that was high, because I'm telling you, you had Jamia Thomas rolling back into that cover 2, baiting him to throw the flat, then he shoots back to the tight end corner route. Outstanding job by Jamia Thomas of not biting on the one underneath, playing deep to short as opposed to short to deep.
Al Grill thinks Jamia Thomas is an emerging star, junior cornerback. Al praising him for his toughness. Thomas had some big interceptions for them late in games last year. 3rd down and 2. Big play from the 38. Coleman, the freshman, bounces outside. First down. Quayshawn Neely chased him out. A huge 3rd down conversion for Virginia Tech. At least in field goal range now at the 24 of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Al Groh had the call. Right now he has Jamia Thomas coming on the blitz. The problem is outside linebacker Atalchu. If you got a guy coming from the blitz, you got to get width to bounce that ball back into pursuit. He got cut up inside number 45 Atalchu, which allowed that big gaping hole for J.C. Coleman to capitalize.
True freshman who enrolled in January is J.C. Coleman. Brian Steinspring said he's as mature players they've ever had as a freshman. Good reaction by the defense to close quickly on Davis. Rod Sweeting, who was flagged for that questionable personal foul penalty, stopped it for no gain at the 25. They go quickly again. Thomas lofts one. Nice catch by the fullback Joey Phillips. 21-yard line. Gain of nearly 4 for the senior from right here in Blacksburg.
Job by Joey Phillips.
Wow.
Not getting to play much with the new pistol. Getting an opportunity does. It's about Marcus Davis time. Down here in the red zone. Crucial time. Big play player. And to work him out in space. Number 7 going out wide. Matched up against Thomas in the pressed coverage right up top.
3rd down and 7. 5 out of 13 on 3rd down. The Hokies, and the pass incomplete. They want a flag again on Sweeting. They won't get it that time. Sweeting saying, you got that once. It isn't going to happen again. So here comes the field goal unit to try to tie it with 11.5 minutes to go. Cody Journell is the field goal kicker. I'm surprised he's back in the program. He was arrested on breaking and entering charges in December, right before their Sugar Bowl game. Spent nearly a week in jail. May accepted a plea agreement to a lesser charge of misdemeanor trespassing. On probation for a year. He did 100 hours of community service. He's back in the program. He's a very good kicker. 38-yarder to try it. It's hooked, and it is no good. Wow, Journell He made 14 out of 17 last season, including his last 10. Misses a huge one here in the fourth quarter.
The special teams woes continue for that man, Frank Beamer, the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Thursday night on ESPN, a Big East matchup. Conference opener, Pitt and Cincinnati. ESPN's college football primetime served by Applebee's Thursday, 8 Eastern on ESPN. College football lives here. It's also available live on Watch ESPN. Pittsburgh and Syracuse will be coming to the ACC next year. ACC matchup here and a good one. Defensive battle. Georgia Tech leading by 3 after the missed Virginia Tech field goal. And on 1st and 10, Tevin Washington carried ahead to the 25-yard line.
Important to note that Finch is back in at center. Again, the importance of his play. Paul Johnson told us last night, boy, we hope he doesn't go down. Quint was reporting to us that it was cramps, which is a good news.
Luther Maddie, 92, back there in the middle of that Virginia Tech defense as well. So both sides have an important player back in the middle. David Sims ahead for a yard. Here's Quint Kesnick.
Georgia Tech A-back Orwin Smith left the game in the third quarter with a left shoulder injury. They took him over to the sideline, put a harness on it, put his shoulder pads back on. He has his helmet on, but he's just standing on the sideline. I'm told by their trainer, Jay Shoup, that he is questionable. He's a big-time playmaker.
He also does all the little things well. Catches balls, does a great job of blocking downfield. Valuable to the spread option attack of Paul Johnson.
Coming back from turf toe, he had surgery in the offseason for turf toe. 3rd down and 5. Washington ran away from the pressure from behind, but didn't get the first down. Got upended by Jaron Gavea-Winslow at the 30-yard line. What a study in perseverance Gavea-Winslow is. 2 years ago, in the words of Bud Foster, he was atrocious, and fans really down on him for a couple of key missed plays. But he has stuck with it and become a very important player on this team.
Made a very good play there to prevent the first down. That was the same play they ran where Sims missed the block. It was a quarterback draw. That time Sims got the block, but Gavea-Winslow was there to clean up.
So Virginia Tech's going to try to come after the punt of Sean Poole. They blocked only 1 kick all of last year. Movement along the line, at least for the time being.
False start. Offense, number 48. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Chris, at least for the time being, Beamer ball's gone. I mean, the days where they really could win games just on their special teams, that isn't happening.
Well, I think with Beamer ball, he wants to start defining it now, just being somewhat consistent and not self-inflict wounds, which they've done here tonight.
So the shield punt has made it harder to block kicks, but that's not what Georgia Tech's using right now. And they do come after it. They got close. Sean Poole got it off, the junior from Tallahassee. And got a good bounce on the other end. Out of bounds at the 25-yard line. 50-yard punt. 9:16 to go. Georgia Tech by 3.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Russell Athletic, who remind you that together we are. And in part by the Volkswagen Passat, 2012 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Sean McDonough, Chris Spielman, Quint Kesnick. Our terrific ESPN crew here in Blacksburg, Virginia. Putting the capper on a opening weekend of college football. Logan Thomas been held in check by this Georgia Tech defense tonight. Thrown for only 105 and rushed for 37 on 11 carries. Just 171 yards of offense for the Hokies tonight. J.C. Coleman up the middle. A hard-earned 3. We list him at 5'8". He might not even be that tall. 192 pounds. He's added 15 pounds since he arrived here in January.
You know, the one thing I would do if I'm Brian Steinspring and Coach O'Kane is I might start a little bit of 3-step drop just to get him in rhythm. Spread him out. See a little three-step, little option routes just to get him some type of rhythm. Then you can start opening up again with him. He's in zero rhythm, hasn't been in rhythm all night. It's like me dancing.
It's not that bad. Whoops, little hesitation on the snap. A double clutch by Andrew Miller.
Snap infraction. 74 offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Sean, I can't emphasize enough how I'm impressed with the Georgia Tech defense and the kids. I mean, Al Groh said he's got about 13 going tonight. And they've hung in there and they've played hard. And waves of Virginia Tech defensive linemen come in. And basically for Georgia Tech, you've had 4 that's been giving it their all tonight.
8:20 to go. And breaking free is Davis. They missed the tackle. And he can fly. Lost the football. And the Hokies recover at the 40-yard line. Corey Fuller got on the loose ball after he got knocked free from Davis, who's still down on the field, writhing in pain.
Couple things. You see Marcus Davis seems to be in a lot of pain, but 3-step drop. Get your playmaker involved. We've been calling for it all night. Marcus Davis involves, and look what happens. Watch the quick throw, spread them out, run the slant. Let's see what they do. They spread them out, they run the slant.
They missed the tackle.
Yep.
Al Groh talked last night about those short passes. You need to close quickly and make those tackles, and Sweeting whiffed. And you wonder if fatigue is setting in for these defensive players who played just about the entire game. They played very few subs. Michael Holmes in at tailback behind Joey Phillips. Not in field goal range yet. Thomas wants the lead, has a man open. Caught with a flag down, touchdown. Dimitri Knowles, the freshman. His first career catch has given the Hokies the lead. Big extra point here to make it a 4-point game midway through the quarter. Cody Janelle's kick is good. Consecutive plays of 35 yards and then a 42-yard touchdown after they've been stymied all night, even with the pass interference. Knowles made his first career catch, and they're ahead. Think about you, baby. We welcome you back to ESPN's College Football Prime Time. Lane Stadium rocking our coverage, presented by Russell Athletic. Dimitri Knowles, redshirt freshman, played very few snaps tonight. His first career catch goes for the go-ahead touchdown. Branover's kickoff down to Jamal Golden, ran into traffic and went down at the 28. Alonzo Tweedy's had a good night covering kicks. Logan Thomas, the touchdown pass that put them ahead.
Never underestimate fresh legs. Starts with good protection. Dimitri Knowles coming off the bench. Sweeting perhaps a little bit tired. Is Lazy getting out of his break? Surprised a little bit by the fresh legs of Knowles. Just gets run by. Poor technique. And Logan Thomas on target when it counts.
And time Knowles at 4.28 in the 40 in the offseason. He's a former Virginia State 100-meter champion. Flags down on the play. And going nowhere is B.J. Bostic. Coaches were telling us the other day that Dimitri Knowles grew up in the Bahamas, has played very little football, came to Lynchburg Christian Academy, And that's really where he started to play football here in
There are 2
Virginia.
fouls on the play. Illegal shift by the offense. 2 players in motion. Personal foul, grasping the face mask. Defense number 58. The penalty is offset. Replay first down.
I think when you have a kid that runs a 4.28 and you want a matchup, you try to eliminate thought and say, hey, go ahead, go deep and run. And Sweeting was tired.
Reminds me so much of the 2009 game we were here for. Virginia Tech stymied all day long by a Nebraska defense led by Ndamukong Suh. Then a couple of big pass plays late in the game. Danny Cole for about 80 yards and a touchdown pass to Dyrell Roberts after they'd done nothing all day. Deion Hill thrown down for a loss. Great reaction to the ball by Tyrell Wilson and Dietrich Bonner.
I just against that defense, a long developing outside play, that will not work. This defense is aggressive and built on speed, and they have undersized defensive ends that are like big linebackers that can run, which eliminates any threat of that outside passing game, short screen game.
That was the first pass thrown by Tevin Washington in the second half. Throwing again, but now pulls it down, has some running room. Big Luther Matty won't catch him. And finally forced out by Kaishan Jarrett. But he's out near midfield. They'll mark it at the Georgia Tech 49. 22 yards and a first down for the Yellow Jackets.
Deception is part of Paul Johnson's offense. That's that quarterback draw look with an automatic cutback. And in order for that play to be successful, you must be patient and trust your blocking. He did. The hole opened up wide, and he used his speed to get the first down. Excellent call by Paul Johnson. Beautiful.
Quick toss, B.J. Bostic. Cross midfield and down to the Hokie 47. James Gale, Dietrich Bonner combining to get him on the ground. 4-yard gain.
Georgia Tech, you're at 5:41. You want to take your time running plays because you know you can't score in a hurry, so you want to try to prolong this drive as long as you can while you have momentum.
Haven't had a sustained touchdown drive tonight. The one touchdown came on a short field after a punt mishap in the first half. Tevin Washington out of time, dumped it off. David Sims lunging for a first down. Well, they give him the mark near the 41. Bruce Taylor made the tackle. Linebacker who has returned to action. They're not going to give him the first down. Taylor missed half of last year with a severely sprained foot that required surgery. Still has screws in his feet. His growth foot.
Growth of Tevin Washington right here, looking for Godhigh down deep. He's covered, knowing the offense and trusting the offense, hits his outlet receiver. That's growth from the quarterback.
Under 5 minutes to go. Third and less than a yard. And Washington, did he get there? A little lunge. Looks like they're going to mark it right on that yellow line that does not lie. Should be a first down.
Wasn't patient there, Sean. That was the quarterback follow, and the problem was he didn't wait for David Sims to become his lead blocker. He almost beat David Sims to the hole. If he would have waited just enough, he would have had enough momentum with David Sims leading him away to get the first down.
First down. They'll wind the clock after they reset the chains.
You agree with me on that, Sean? Just as Georgia Tech, just to kind of take their time because you know they're not going to move the ball in a hurry. I know you're looking about possessions.
Yes and no. Yes, if they score.
Yeah, okay, all right.
But if you use a lot of time and you have to kick a field goal or you don't score a touchdown, then you're hurting yourself. because you've shortened the game and you need another possession.
Yep.
They go out of the pistol. Rare that he's not under center. And Godhigh chopped down at the line of scrimmage by Kyle Fuller. Younger brother Kendall, we mentioned earlier, committed to Virginia Tech. So it'll be the fourth Fuller, and all four of them apparently are really good football players.
Full of them here. He is really good. I mean, he can play safety, he can play corner. He's aggressive, he's physical. He's been beating blocks all night, and a good solid tackler. We saw one missed tackle from him tonight, but other than that, outstanding performance by Fuller.
Well, Paul Johnson agrees with what you said, Chris, because they're not in any big hurry here. Kevin Washington going deep, single coverage. Incomplete, intended for Jeff Green.
Man coverage right there, and I know Paul Johnson is kind of kicking himself because he's trying to get them in man to run the football.
They do not have a catch from a wide receiver tonight. We mentioned they're replacing Stephen Hill, who went early in the draft to the Jets. Tyler Melton, their top two wide receivers. All the catches tonight by backs. 3rd down and 10. That's with this much time left, 4 down territory. Washington in traffic gets 3. And now Paul Johnson has a decision to make. The 37-yard line. Interesting. Looks like he's going to punt, and he wants him to do it in a hurry.
Putting the football with 3:12 and
4-3 timeouts.
Yeah, you got your 3 timeouts in the bag.
A little too long for this offense. I guess to go for it in 4th and 6. Wow. Now they use a timeout after they let, what, maybe 20 seconds or so run off. Georgia Tech let 20 seconds run off the clock, then called timeout, perhaps because there's less time and one fewer timeout. After looking like he was going to punt it, now Paul Johnson's going to have them go for it on 4th down and 6. Down by 4. They're at the Virginia Tech 37. Pistol. And Washington. Plenty of time. Running out of time. Sets and throws a wobbler. Caught at the 18-yard line by B.J. Bostic for a 1st down.
Never give up on routes. B.J. Bostic is well coached because he stays active in a route. He's going to come all the way from the other side of the field, rolling and working with his receiver. Tevin Washington keeping his eyes downfield, trusting his receiver to get open. And what a clutch throw. Man, that's clutch.
19 yards they convert on 4th and 6. Blitz. Washington has room to this side of the field and lunges forward inside the 12-yard line where Diedrich Bonner made the tackle. 2 timeouts left for Georgia Tech. They have plenty of time. 2nd and 3 might be getting to the point where Virginia Tech may start thinking about using timeouts to save some time in the event that the Yellow Jackets take the lead here. Time is not a problem now for Georgia Tech. Godhigh went in motion, sends up the middle, 1st down. Inside the 9-yard line, Tyrell Wilson made the tackle. Now it's Frank Beamer looking anxiously at the clock.
For Georgia Tech, I really let that play clock run down. No hurry. 2 timeouts left.
It can be torture sometimes for Georgia Tech to complete a forward pass, but they completed one when they absolutely had to have it. They started this drive at their own 28. Washington under pressure. Goes down back at the 10. Bruce Taylor, Derek Hopkins took him down. That'll go as a sack. 2nd and goal. No timeout from either side. Shane Beamer, Frank Beamer's son, associate head coach, talking about the time and clock situation. Out of the pistol again. Washington throws, caught, touchdown Georgia Tech. Deion Hill with 44 seconds to go. And Frank Beamer sitting on all 3 of those timeouts. Now his team trails and they have only 44 seconds left.
We talked about it, Sean. What do? Man-to-man defense. You run crossing routes to create picks. That's exactly what they did. And Tevin Washington, again, under clutch pressure, delivers a catchable ball where there's a nice transition from catch to run into the end zone. Crossing routes, natural picks against man-to-man coverage, executed at the highest level for the Ramblin' Wreck.
First career touchdown for Deion Hill, redshirt sophomore A-back out of Phoenix City, Alabama. And what a time for it. Big extra point here to give him a 3-point lead, up and good off the foot of David Scully. They couldn't drive it at all night long. And then when they had to, they went 72 yards in 13 plays, took 7:02 off the clock, 10-yard touchdown, and did exactly what you said they wanted to do, Chris. Use up all the time. And Frank Beamer, to a large extent, let him do it.
Here come your double crossing routes right here. It sets a natural pick. We have a little bit of a matchup zone. You see right there, there's the natural pick on the middle linebacker. They don't see it. You have guys chasing receivers inside, clearing out the flat area. The crossing routes on the goal line always work. You have guys running deep, people chasing. You clear out one side of the zone, bring somebody from across the field to hit that clear out area. Executed at the highest level. Poise and composure by Tevin Washington. And again, being on target when it counts. Twice.
And they had only 1 touchdown pass in their final 8 games last season when the year went south after that 6-0 start. And Logan Thomas get them at least in a field goal range. They'll have all 3 timeouts, but only 44 seconds with which to work. Washington was 5 out of 6 passing on that drive, completing 49% of his passes last year. Scully kicks it through the end zone. So they'll start at the 25. New rule this year on kickoffs. The touchbacks come out to the 25. So 5 extra yards that he wouldn't have had a year ago to at least get into field goal range.
This is Logan Thomas, can make a name. Been on and off all night. It's time to be on.
3 wide receivers as he goes out of the gun. 4-man rush from Georgia Tech, and a receiver wide open. Corey Fuller's had a big night. Transfer from Kansas where he ran track. He's out to the 47-yard line. Jernell had a big miss earlier in this half. Might have a chance for redemption. Logan Thomas pulls it down, goes out of bounds at the 50. 3-yard gain, still all 3 timeouts, 26 seconds left.
Fatigue could be setting in for the defensive line. Their defensive linemen aren't great pass rushers. It's allowing Logan Thomas time to sit back there and survey the field. Al Groh's not opposed to just rushing 3 in this type of situation and dropping 8.
Nell's career long is 42 last year. Caught by the tight end, hit immediately. They do rule him out of bounds, and that's a big break for Virginia Tech. Ryan Mallett the catch, but Brandon Watts right there Ball just inside the 48. 21 seconds left. 3 timeouts.
Keep in mind, Jarrell pulled the last one. A lot of times when you pull it, you try to over-kick it. Means he'd have to get to 35 for the 42-yard field goal.
He was given a second chance by Frank Beamer to come back into the program after his legal problems. Will he get a second chance tonight? Not if that continues. Malik dropped almost immediately by Watts. Gain of inches. Virginia Tech with 13 seconds left finally calls its first timeout. And a huge play upcoming.
Plenty of time to work the middle of the field. 2 timeouts left.
But if they don't convert here, it's over. 4th down and 4 at the Georgia Tech 47. Al Gross had a great plan, and it's been executed beautifully by this short-handed Georgia Tech defense, playing without 3 starters. They weren't particularly deep even when they have Lewis Young, Daniel Drummond, and Fred Holton. And he had faith that they'd have enough stamina after their off-season work to get through the game, and it certainly helps when the offense just had a 7-minute drive to take the lead.
Out, calling the signals out. I wouldn't be surprised here if he plays it a little bit safe.
Because even if it's a short game, they still aren't in field goal range. Yeah, they tackle him there, but Fuller breaks free, and he's down inside the 25. Now they are in field goal range with 6 seconds to go on a 23-yard gain.
He calls the blitz, Sean. It's well executed except for one thing. Isaiah Johnson comes up and has a chance to make the play for a short gain. Another missed tackle because his head was on the wrong side of the ball. Poor angles.
And now Cody Journell. We mentioned his legal trouble last December. It was a huge issue here, involved other athletes. And his attorneys say, and the Hokie football program believes, for Journell it was just a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Given a second chance to come back into the program after many months out of it, and now given a second chance by his teammates tonight to make up for this miss earlier in this quarter. At the time would have tied the game. 42-yard attempt. It would match his career long right in the middle of the field. Joe St. Germain is the snapper, and Trey Gresh the holder. We saw the one slightly high snap from St. Germain earlier. And Frank Beamer mentioned a quick test and a half. Well, there's a new snapper. It was one that the punter Hughes should have fielded, but execution needs to be flawless now.
Absolutely, and you wonder what runs through a kicker's mind. I often do. I could never figure it out. After they pull one, there could be a tendency to overcompensate a little bit, and sometimes when we see that, they push it. And after Jarrell is this, look, you've done this a million times. Trust your training, trust your technique. Eliminate the thought of that last kick that you missed.
And the pressure on him in the spotlight for a long time. It was a huge deal around here for all the wrong reasons. Some believe Frank Beamer shouldn't have let him come back. Officially now a 41-yard try to tie it and likely send it into overtime. Given the second chance, he delivers.
Execution of fundamentals, and it was going a little right, but he had enough in there where he trusted his training and comes back from a tough miss to tie it up to give his team still an opportunity to go in overtime and play for the victory.
Frank Beamer's done very well in recent years with kickers who came to Virginia Tech as walk-ons. Journell was the first principal place kicker to come in on a scholarship since Shane Graham in the mid-1990s. It's been an up and down ride for that young man. We're back in Blacksburg, Virginia. They're heading to overtime for the first time in the history of Lane Stadium. Virginia Tech's played in 4 overtime games in its history, all the way from home. Coin toss is important. Generally, the team that wins will elect to go on defense first.
We'll now play extra period. In extra periods, each team will be given 1 timeout per period. They will never carry over. Replay challenges for regulation carry over until now. We're going to flip the coin, the same coin as before. We will spot the ball at the 25-yard line where it'll be 1st and 10. Your options will be offense, defense, or into the field. You understand the overtime rules? Sir. Beginning with the 3rd series, on the try, you must go for 2 in order to score, okay? I need your option, heads or tails. The call is tails.
Virginia Tech won the toss. They're going to elect to go on defense. And they know what they need to do when they get the ball back. Brad Allen did a nice job there explaining a lot of the overtime rules. Each team guaranteed the 1 possession starting at the 25-yard line going in. Game clock does not matter. There's only a play clock. And as he said, you get to the 3rd overtime, you have to go for 2 if you score a touchdown. Interesting. Both teams last year had their season end with an overtime loss. Virginia Tech in the Sugar Bowl to Michigan, and Georgia Tech in the Sun Bowl to Utah after they blew a 2-touchdown lead in the 4th quarter. They lost the lead here in the 4th quarter because of the 2 big plays to Corey Fuller. They couldn't tackle him. And both teams on those last scoring drives, the Georgia Tech touchdown drive, the Virginia Tech field goal drive, had a big 4th down conversion.
That's a huge statement for the character of both teams, making a play when it counts.
Fuller had catches of 22 and 23 to set up the field goal. Washington out throwing, swings it in the flat for Robbie Godhigh, and he's down to the 14-yard line. So they come out throwing against their custom, and it's an 11-yard gain and a 1st down.
You see the improvement of Tevin Washington and not panicking under pressure, looking first deep and understanding where the outlet Godhigh stood, delivered a catchable ball where he was able to catch on a run and get good yardage on 1st down.
Hokies blitz. Washington, his head snapped back as he got to the 10. A hard-earned 4 yards. Derek Hopkins and Corey Marshall laid the lumber on the Georgia Tech quarterback.
And then Kyshawn Jarrett came up from that safety position and threw a shoulder in there just for good measure. Good contact. We heard that one up here. Positive 1st yards though. 5 yards on 1st down. They'll take that every time.
The rush for just 192 tonight. A lot of teams, that's a huge night, but they averaged 316 last year. Play clock 5. Washington smothered and dropped to the line of scrimmage by J.R. Collins.
You know what they're doing? Bud Foster's counter right now is taking the end away from the action of the play and shooting him down the line of scrimmage. Now, if you're Georgia Tech, you say, well, they're vulnerable on the backside. So almost if you have a little bit of a reverse, not a long reverse, but a quick pitch reverse, they have something.
Saw Paul Johnson and Bud Foster. You work the whole offseason. Study countless hours of film to come up with the right play call and the right defense for this situation. Washington running out of time. Throws it up for grabs, and it's intercepted by Fuller. Oh, what a terrible mistake. First turnover for either team, and it comes at an awful time for the Yellow Jackets. At the very least, they were positioned for the field goal to take the lead and force Virginia Tech to get at least 3 when they have it. Now any score will win for the Hokies.
Well, I'm telling you, Sean, he had Deion Hill look like he was looking right at him, all alone in the end zone. Nobody within 15 yards of number 31, Deion Hill. He just took his eyes off him. He felt the pressure. His eyes dropped. Lost Deion Hill, who would have been celebrating a touchdown right now if he just would have stayed with it a little bit longer.
Pressure by Bruce Taylor, and aren't they glad to have that senior linebacker back. Now Virginia Tech wants to be very careful. Just put Journell in position to win it with a field goal. Even if Washington had taken the sack near the 20, they still could have tried a 37-yard field goal to take the lead. But he threw it away, and now here's Holmes up the middle. Down inside the 20, just shy of the 19. And I wouldn't imagine they'd get very fancy here, Chris.
All right, and I'm Al Groh. What do? You're telling me they're not going to get fancy. I'm thinking they're not going to get fancy. We got to build that wall, as he likes to say, and I would start run blitzing because you know they're going to come attack you. You got to take a little bit of a gamble, a little bit on sound, but you got to start playing the play a little bit.
Hand off again. Holmes through the defense. Holmes inside the 5 and down at the 1.
It's all about changing the line of scrimmage right there. Vi gets a good kick out block, and Holmes one cut and done. That's his MO. He hit one cut and he had that second gear right through the hole. 3rd and 1 right here. A 1st and 1 on the 1. Logan Thomas, 6'6", 260. Sneak it over. Don't take any chances with any type of exchange.
Holmes had a quiet debut, but he's rushed for all 24 yards here. Now Thomas down on a knee. You wonder if he struggled to get the snap. The referee comes in quickly and confirms that he still has the ball.
Saying run it again. You see that little finger motion, traveling motion. Georgia Tech could have done a good job of shooting at center, which might have caused the problem. They cut the center.
Thomas first has to make sure he gets the snap. He does. And he's not in. Well, they've stopped it twice. Now what does Frank Beamer do? 3rd and goal. He wants a timeout to think about. He's going to use his timeout and try to decide, do you do that one more time or do you kick a field goal right now?
The only reason why you kick the field goal is because you have protection just in case there's a bad snap and you take a knee. The other thing is, again, Logan Thomas on 3rd and 1 or 2 gets the 1st down. He's been known to do that 20 of 21 last year. You're about the half-yard line. I'd probably run the sneak one more time.
I would agree with you completely. As you said, he's 6'6", 260. A phenomenal percentage last year, converting on 3rd down and 2 or less. Rather than risk the snap and the hold and the kick. Sports Center coming up next. Not emphasize enough the importance of this game. The last 7 years since the ACC went to divisional play, the winner of the Georgia Tech Virginia Tech game has won the Coastal Division and gone on to play for the ACC title. 5 times Virginia Tech, twice Georgia Tech. Even though this is the opener, it could be huge in deciding which team wins this division. Thomas one more time, stopped again. What a valiant performance by this Georgia Tech defense tonight. So they'll have to kick it. 3 times they stopped Thomas from the 1-yard line. And in so many games in recent years at Georgia Tech, Chris, the defense has borne the brunt of the criticism and the blame for losses. That's not the case tonight. These guys have been tremendous.
Absolutely not. And I like Logan Thomas running that sneak to the left because he takes the ball into the middle of the field to give the proper angle for Jarrell.
Journell tied it on the last play of regulation. Now he can win it with a chip shot in overtime. Virginia Tech will not stumble out of the gate as it has so often in recent years. And the Georgia Tech season begins as the last one ended with an excruciating overtime loss. Here's Quint Keswick with Frank Beamer.
Coach, what an incredible finish. What made the difference?
Well, we had guys that just hung in there. It didn't look very good. And we missed so many great opportunities to get points and hadn't gotten points. But, you know, I really like the way we never stopped. And that says something about your football team, and I think it says good things about the future.
Cody Journell, after the earlier miss, what was going on in your mind when you sent him out there late in regulation?
Well, he's a good kicker. He's proved it over and over, and you know, and he nailed it when it counted.
You told us this week you really had no idea where this team would stand. What did you learn tonight?
Well, I learned they don't give up, because it sure didn't look very good. And you know, we hadn't played great. I mean, we had some great opportunities and didn't take advantage of them, but I just like the way we hung in there. I like the way this big guy right here hung in there. He had a couple throws he'd like to have back, but he made them when it counted.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Sean.
All right, Quint, thank you. Logan Thomas and the Hokies win a thriller in the opener. 2017, the final. Sports Center coming up right now for Chris Spielman, Quint, and our entire ESPN crew, Sean McDonough. So long from Blacksburg, Virginia. Now here's Sports Center.